of New Year's Eve, the penultimate day of 2024. Call it what you will. It is Jim Scarcelli and Dennis Fithian here on the Maize and Blue Review on the eve of the ReliaQuest Bowl down in Tampa, Michigan, and Alabama for the second time in a calendar year at high noon down there in the Sunshine State. Scar, that's exciting, man. How are you?
Fired up for tomorrow, man. It's a bowl game, and Denny, I was able to go to 5 bowl games as a player. All of my games were like California and Texas, and then one was in New Orleans. But it's a great experience. These guys got to do some fun things and great memories. And I remember New Year's Eve down in New Orleans, we had non-alcoholic champagne Bo brought out because we were playing the next day. Played against Bo Jackson. But yeah, great experiences. These are lifelong memories. But, you're playing to win, man. These guys are going to, it's the last game. A lot of guys are going to play their last game, Denny. And that's an emotional game, man. Your last home game is emotional. And then the last time you put the winged helmet on, man, it's it's an emotional event, and these guys are going to play their butt off to win, man.
Yeah, I know the bowls have been reduced to cannon fodder if you're not in the college football playoff. But from a fan and media perspective, too, I mean, it's a great trip. I mean, you're going down usually to a warm locale, and the party's on. It's around the holidays, and you're going to see a football game afterwards. It's the last one of the year. Everybody's in high spirits. It's a great time. I went out to California. I couldn't have been any more impressed. You grow up and you hear about, the Rose Bowl, and Bo would talk about it, and you get all of that. You watch it, you get all excited. But man, once you go out there and you see that whole place, you see the mountains and you just can't. It's you truly feel like you've crossed into the Valhalla when they say that. You step even close to that stadium. It's got to be 100 times even greater intensity when you're a player. But even down to Orlando, the one time was a Citrus Bowl, and it was a flat out week of just excitement and fun, with football.
Yeah, Danny, there's two different deals though. When I was a young guy, my first 2 bowl, I wasn't getting on the field. So that's a whole different experience as a player on a team going to a bowl game when you're not going to play. You're just trying to make it through practice. You're hanging out, having a good time, running around. It's a different deal. When you got to get ready to play in a game, that's a whole different mindset.
Yeah.
It's about work. It's about getting your body ready, your mind ready. You're not playing around too much. You're not staying out late doing stuff. And, it's a different mindset when you got to get ready to play a football game, opposed to being a young guy when there's 50 guys, 60 guys aren't going to get on that field. They got a different program going down there in Florida. They're having fun, man.
Yeah, I always remember. I thinking about mindset. It just reminds me what could have been for me. I was gifted a presidential suite at the Radisson Barcelo. I had a jacuzzi in the room and 2 gigantic beds. I should have kept those. I should have just stayed in there by myself, Scar. But there was some local Michigan media that was staying at like the Red Roof. And I said, hey, why not? The bus comes right out in front. You can just stay here. It was a mistake by me because that night 3 girls wanted to take me out on New Year's. And when we were coming back, it was 4 a.m. Who knows? I ended up going over to, they stayed where the Michigan hotel was, where the Ducks walked through the lobby. You ever been down the Peacock? Maybe it's called. I don't know.
No.
But I always, if I had my own room there, I always wondered, like, hey, what was going to happen there? Old Dennis could have said, "Come on back," but it didn't happen. So,
Danny, those things, you did all that stuff after the game, but you didn't want to mess around before the game. Bo would have put you on the next plane back to Ann Arbor if you did some dumb stuff. You missed curfew. I seen it, man. He put guys on the plane, man. You ain't missing curfew. You ain't doing those crazy stuff.
It's a good point. I think even though I stayed out till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, there was the bus to get you to the stadium at like 9 a.m. So the window was getting closer there. And it was good for me just to say, hey, I've got to work the bowl game tomorrow to go home. So it was probably a good thing that my night ended at 4 a.m. there, so I could get to the game. So a good point about that, Scar. There's a lot of things to talk about with this bowl game. There's some other things going on. This strange Wisconsin transfer. Everybody, the transfer portal, guys can just peace out. The Badgers said, not so fast. We're not releasing you to the transfer portal. We'll get to that story. Cam Ward opted out of the second half of the youth bowl game after he set a record. He said, that's it. Let's see what Scar thinks about that. But we are starting with the ReliaQuest Bowl, and there's some news out of Tampa, and I'll get to some of it here. First of all, Sharon Moore says that Evan Link, who started a lot of the, first half dozen games or so, then he was back over at right tackle. He's going to make his first start ever at left tackle, and Andrew Sprague, who gets talked about an awful lot, he'll get the start at right tackle. What are your thoughts there? The future of the Michigan tackle position on display tomorrow in Tampa.
Then it's a different mindset, man. In my day, they would have played, Percy has started many football games.
Yeah.
So they basically made the decision that, you know what? Sorry, man. I know you're a fifth-year guy. I know you've been around, and I know you're probably the best guy to help us win this football game, but we're playing for the future. And it's a totally different mindset. And that's just how I see it, because Percy would probably be better off for us to win that game because he's got starts.
I've heard that he's nicked up, so that could be.
Okay. If he's nicked up, then if he's out there in uniform, then it's a decision about the future, and it's different, man. Because the mentality back in the day was, the guys that have been there. It's about trying to win the game, and there's a big part of the guys that have been there, give them their last shot. But it's a different mentality, and hopefully Sprague will play well. He was a high 4 or 5 star kid, and he's got maybe 20 snaps under his belt. But it'll be huge for next year. When we go to Oklahoma, and they're basically saying this is our starting lineup, man. I mean, you basically got your starting lineup, other than the kid from Cal Poly, whatever, but you got everybody back. So Link will be back. Sprague will be our tackles next year. That's the way they're going. Crippen's coming back. We haven't heard for sure about Gio, though, right?
I think he's coming back.
Okay, so anyway, then it's the other guard, but that's our starting lineup for next year, and that's the direction they're going. And so that'll be a huge guy we need to watch is how Sprague is going to play. To get your first start against Alabama, it's not like going against Arkansas State. So There's a lot of guys in there that are going to be crucial. You ask about what we got to do to win this football game. Sprague will be crucial. How does this kid play in his first start?
Yep. Sharon Moore was asked about the quarterback position, not for tomorrow. He was asked about 2025. He says, nobody's promised the starting spot. Everyone's got to earn it. Well, what is he going to say? That's a long time. I'm fascinated tomorrow. Is he just Davis Warren? Orgy is with the team. Maybe they just continue on and have an orgy package. And so you won't see anybody like Jaden Davis, because if there wasn't orgy, I was thinking that at least Jaden Davis would get a series in there. But so I don't know how that's going to play out.
Orgy's going to play tomorrow. If he's practicing all week, he's played in. He played against Ohio State. He's been in there. They're gonna put him in there. They'll have a package. They'll run him, and it'll be hopefully it'll be effective. I mean, it was productive against Ohio State. He had a long run in there, so it's interesting to see what they do next year. Me personally, I don't see the sense of bringing him back if you got Underwood. Because I would, like I said it last week, I would want Underwood to get if he's not the starter, I would have a package for him to run the football and get his feet like we did with JJ. I would have that same kind of, get a taste. The development of JJ was perfect, and getting his confidence up, getting him game reps. But again, he can throw it too if he's in the football game.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, because that thing was whether you think it was handled properly or not. And it didn't work. I mean, it was an exploding cigar right from the get-go with how Moore handled the QB. So we'll see if he handles it.
Well, as far as Denny, as far as if you look at, I'd like to look at the yardage that Orji, when he wasn't the starter, I'd like to look at how productive he was with that package, the games that he went in the game. And I think for the most part, it was productive. It was there were some big plays in there. I don't have the stats, but I think there was some productive stuff there. And I don't know, I looked at Underwood. I don't know if you guys looked at the video. Amazing Blue Review had it on, some of the video of Underwood. Man, he looks good. He looks good on the hoof, man. I can't wait to get up to practice to watch him, but he's every bit of 6'4", and he's got the frame. And so it'd be, interested to see how that plays out. But Denny, defensively, well, let's just finish offense then about as far as this game. Sprague will be he'll be crucial. See how he does. Our tight ends will be fine. We still haven't heard much about Prescorn, though. Is he hurt?
He is hurt. He got hurt, I think, in warm-ups.
Okay, so then that's the deal with him, because our tight ends, the other guys been getting a lot of reps. But the running backs and our right tackle are going to be crucial. I mean, you got guys getting game reps now. Ben Hall's probably got maybe 50 under his belt. Marshall might have maybe 20. And that's going to be how we go, man. And that's going to be crucial. I think Ben Hall is going to be tough and good in there. And just hopefully they secure the football. They got to secure the football more than anything. But those two guys are crucial. Sprague is crucial because, their first starts. And then, our receiver room hasn't changed much at all. So.
Well, Tyler Morris went into the transfer portal, and Loveland's not playing. So you got Klein, and other than that, the pass catchers, this really does look like a game where you're going to feature the running backs. Hopefully it is Ben Hall and Jordan Marshall and even Capana, because you're going to have some young wide receivers when you're talking. I mean, you do have Fred Moore and Samaj, but I think you're going to get Peyton O'Leary, but you had Shannon Goodwin and Marion Stewart, and then you had those guys that didn't play. So it'll be interesting to see who we see out there and if anybody jumps up and does anything.
Now defensively, okay, so Josiah Stewart's not playing, so we'll start Moore and we'll start Guy. We really won't miss much there. Josiah was special, but TJ Guy has really improved through the year. We will be solid with our first two guys in there. And then Brandt has improved tremendously.
Yes.
It appears that he backs up. I'm not really sure how they're going to do it because Nichols has seemed like the bigger kid, more of the guy that backs up more, because there's little distinction between the two positions. But anyway, Nichols is going to be the guy that we're going to, I'm going to be watching him. So he's going to be the fourth edge guy rotating in. So he will be crucial. He will be getting reps. He hasn't had all year crucial reps. He got mop-up time early in the year. So I'll be watching Nichols. Now, the biggest thing with our defense, though, Denny, is the two inside guys. We got our two first-round draft picks not playing. So Benny is going to get the start, and he's got to be good. And then you're going to have Pearson there. So Pierce has had, 10, 12 reps a game since throughout the season. So those two guys are going to get the start, and then you're going to have Ike and Etta in there rotating in. So those four guys are really what it's all about for our defense. And Danny, I know as a coach, you scheme in order to stop the opponent, but many times your scheme is to protect some of your weaknesses. You got it. If you got a big stud and they're not running at your stud, then you try to find ways to force them to run at your stud. If you got guys that are inferior, I'm sure he's worried about those two inside guys. So he's going to – I bet we're going to see more of a base defense. Our base defense is when we come out with three defensive linemen, two edge guys, two linebackers, we take a safety out, okay? I think you're going to see more of that, but the problem with that is defending the pass. Okay, we didn't run a lot of that because it all depends on how good you are. Can you stop their run? I mean, Wink has mentioned it many times. Can you stop the stuff they want to do with your nickel package. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. Can we stop them with nickel? If not, Wink's going to have to go to the base, and then we're going to be susceptible to pass. Linebacker. Nothing really changes there. So we'll have our two guys there, Hausman and Barham. The question is, will we see Cole Sullivan rotating in instead of Hood? That it's the same kind of deal. It's like Hood is like Percy. They're like, the hell with the fifth-year guy. We're going to try playing the young. That's what they're doing, okay? I've been there as a coach. I get it. They're saying, you know what, Hood, you thanks for being around, but we're going to try to get Cole Sullivan reps because he's going to be our guy next year. That's another thing. So be looking for Cole Sullivan to get in reps. And then the secondary, it looks like our secondary is staying intact. But that's going to be the big key, Danny, I think, at least defensively and winning this football game is, can we stop them with the same defensive packages that we played against Ohio State and at least we did against Alabama last year to beat them? Do we have to put the extra defensive lineman in there to just stop their vanilla stuff?
If I was sitting here and Kirk Campbell was the offensive coordinator, I could say I think there's going to be a lot of run, pass on third down. Kirk Campbell is not the offensive coordinator. It's going to be Steve Casula. And I listened to his news conference down there in Florida. He said, look, you got the Michigan offense. It's not my offense. It's not Chip Lindsey's offense. I mean, it's the Michigan offense. Kenneth is asking you, he's saying that he just wants to see the play calling. He said it's the only thing that matters to him. Will they have more of a passing attack with more than a high school wide receiver usage rate? What do you think? How much influence is Lindsey going to have on Casula? Are they just going to let him roll it out there and do whatever he wants? And then a lot of times in bowl games, you do see that, they try something creative, whether, just a trick play or two.
Casula, Lindsey's irrelevant. Lindsey's just hanging around, learning the system, learning guys. He's just a fly on the wall. He's not calling plays. Casula has been given that title. I don't know how much of it is a collaboration, but the offense is the offense, Danny. I told you our offense isn't going to change with Chip Lindsey next year. We're going to have tight ends. We're going to formationally, and the things you're going to see are the same stuff that we won 3 championships with the last 3 years. You got to block guys, man. You got to complete passes. You got to throw the ball to guys that are wide open. You can't. You're not going to make a living winning games with scoring 13 points, 16 points. So, as far as seeing something dramatically different offensively, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. We're going to come out with the formations we've been running all year, and just hopefully we can block people and we can protect, and our receivers can get separation. That helps. That helps on an offensive play call when you got receivers that can get separation, when you got quarterbacks that can throw the ball when they do get separation, and if you got running backs that can make guys miss or run guys over when your linemen do block it. I mean, those are big parts of moving the football. So, are you going to see, some different plays we haven't seen, Denny? I'm sorry, but I just don't see it. Now, the key, for an offense, the big part of being a successful offensive coordinator is obviously, they got their guys, we got our players. Who's the better guy to figure out what the opponent is doing? Can Casula and Grant and our guys say, okay, Alabama, really get a bead on the defensive coordinator for Alabama? You know what I mean? Can we be a step ahead of him and fool him and deceive them, get them misaligned, little things to help our execution and to help the play calling? So it's not just so much, you call a play. It's what did you do maybe pre-snap to confuse the defense? What did you do somehow, some way to confuse them, to create some conflict? But we have to be able to throw the ball on first down against this team. You can't just run it on and run and then try to throw it on third down. We can't be afraid to throw the football on first down. So
Well, that's going to be something to watch. You want to look at some of the feedback. We're looking Kenneth again. He says the defense turned around once they stopped playing so far off in coverage. Do you feel like that's true, Scar?
Well, I think we were playing pretty good defense all year in general. I think people, there's a lot of people that think we made these drastic changes defensively, and maybe a little bit early in the year did we pressure a little more. But Wink has always been the foundation of the McDonald Minter. The foundation has always been zone defense, Denny, and it's the same stuff. It's not far off from what we ran in 1975 here, 85 at Michigan with Jack Harbaugh. It's a lot of the same stuff. So Wink did Wink run a little more zone maybe later in the year to try to protect guys, maybe, but.
Here's another question for you. Rico says, do you think Michigan wants to bring Tyler Morris back, even though he's in the
probably not, Denny. I mean, they brought some good transfers in. They brought the big kid in from Indiana. The coaches think they traded up. They made a decision. They got big recruits coming in. They got the big kid from Indiana. Those are the decisions that they probably, how they feel about that. As far as picking, I'm going to tell you something, Rico, about picking these ball games. It's crazy. I said it in the past. I've done well in bowl games, but I can't pick these games. You don't know who the hell's playing. In general, though, I would take the under in this game, just because I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. That's my pick. I like Texas. That's probably those are games we know who's playing. I think Texas is going to have so much. And Urban Meyer talked about it too. The talent level is going to be big time different. That could be a 42-17, 42-20 football game. So that's a pick there of the ones of the playoff games I like.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick Alabama big in this game, but I picked Ohio State big, so it's not like I'm coming in here saying, "Oh yeah, just look at me." I'm know what I'm talking about when it comes down to seeing how the game's going to be played. But Jalen Milroe wants to show the NFL scouts that he could be a first-round draft pick. And I look at the quarterback position, and I see a huge advantage for Alabama. And I do think that Alabama, they want to get to 10 wins. How many ever years in a row? Probably every year under Nick Saban. They've got quite a streak of getting the double-digit wins. That's big for their program. If the way Nick Saban used to say it, but losing to Michigan and then being the first out of the college football playoff, I don't know, those intangibles, those things are going to matter to me. I know Michigan wants to win the game, but I think something like 35-17 is going to be the score with Alabama winning it. But, I was dead wrong about the Michigan-Ohio State game, so you have that to go with if you want to just say shut up.
Yeah, a couple other things. Wink. I listened to some Wink's press conference, and he talked about guys played their best game. And I remember Bo saying before the Ohio State game, players had to play their best game. And you know what? Wink had his best game plan too. It was a perfect storm. So he talked about it too. Guys played their best game. He had his best game plan. And Casula, I just real quick, he talked about the bones of the offense is Michigan. That's what we are. I mean, he basically told you in that press conference that this is what we are. This is Michigan. Sharon ain't changing jack, even though he's bringing Lindsey in. So people better get ready for that next year, that you're not going to see schematically, formation-wise, you're not going to see much change. You're going to have better quarterback play and hopefully better receiver play. And hopefully we got a guy like Corum that can make guys miss. So that's just something I got from him. Denny, I was happy to see that Crippen, I wasn't sure what was going on with Crippen. I thought he had a good year. So it looks like we have Crippen back, and we got, our offensive line looks pretty good for next year.
All right. You want to hit some of these other things?
Yeah, Danny, let me go over a couple other things. This is also what Wink said about Keene. Then I'll let you, let me just finish up on Keene.
All right.
Wink,
Keene, yeah.
Wink talked about, and I said, Denny, I said this before we played Fresno last year, game one, when I was watching Fresno on film. I said this to some of my friends. Why isn't that guy playing for Michigan? Okay, I knew he started 12 games the year before, I knew we were where we were with quarterback. I'm like, why didn't we get that kid in the portal? I had said that before we played him. Wink studied this kid because I'm big on him. I know people aren't that big on him, but I'm big on Keen. Wink studied him, and he said this before they played him that this kid is a broke man's Kyler Murray. So I think Wink knows quarterbacks pretty damn good. He's been a coordinator 3 times in the NFL, and he's probably defended Kyler Murray. So I thought that was a hell of a statement. And I feel the same way about our guy. That we got a guy that is accurate and can move, not like Kyler Murray, but I just wanted to point that out. And then
what did he call him? A poor man's Kyler Murray? Is that what
he referred to Keen as a poor man's Kyler Murray. So I think that's a great compliment and give our fan base confidence that, I mean, we got some players. That quarterback room is totally different than last year. Totally different.
Yeah, the way I look at the quarterbacks now, it's different than it was even 5 years ago. The way that these guys are coming in now and they're able to play, I look at the pros. You look at Jaden Daniels. It takes a long time with the pros to get everything. Jaden Daniels is out there last night, and he looks like a 10-year pro. The game is completely slow for him. He looks like he weighs 115 pounds, but, man, he's making every clutch throw, every clutch run. Nothing's frazzled him or anything. He's just out there dealing. I don't know. It made me, as I was thinking about, could Bryce Underwood, how soon, can he get out there? It's like, go out there.
You got to remember, you remember watching Jaden when he was at Arizona State with Herm Edwards? I thought he was. I didn't know. He played early, and I didn't think he was very good.
Okay.
And this is the point, you had John Wangler on last week. John talked about this guy's going to need. He's going to need some seasoning, man. As good an athlete and everything that appears that he has on the hoof, Underwood's going to need time. And Jaden Daniels had time to develop. He was at Arizona State a couple of years, and then Kelly got him when he was already seasoned, man. But Denny, one other quick note.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I think helps Michigan. Rich Rod did something to help Michigan. You know what Rich Rod did to help Michigan? He hired Oklahoma's defensive coordinator. So he stole Oklahoma. This guy's supposed to be a wizard. He's supposed to be some, real smart. He's only like 30 years old. Rich Rod worked with him at ULM or something. He knew the guy. His name is Zach Allen. Anyway, Rich Rod took him from Oklahoma. So now Oklahoma will have to hire a new coordinator, and just something that makes them have to regroup and hire a different guy.
Okay, good stuff. Let me ask you about a couple things other than Michigan. I do want to remind people that I was urging you, if you were looking for a Christmas gift, to give the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. Well, now as you get ready to get in 2025, I heard a guy today, he was wishing somebody Happy New Year, Scar. You know what he said? He was a little bit older. He said, I just want to stay alive at 25. Stay alive at 25. But yeah, you want to be up to speed and stay alive at 25. Join the Maize and Blue Review today by going to michigan.rivals.com. So last week, there was a running back named Xavier Lucas who entered the transfer portal. He's a Wisconsin running back. And you see a million guys getting into the transfer portal, so nobody really made a big deal about it. But then Lucas took to Twitter a couple days ago and said, Wisconsin is refusing to release me into the transfer portal. And then everybody's like, wow, Wisconsin, what are they holding this guy hostage? What are they doing? Well, come to find out, the Big Ten ADs were meeting last week. And the subject of transfers and contracts and liability and the transfer portal and everything, these are going to be items on their list. And the word is that all of the ADs in the Big Ten Conference, they are behind Wisconsin in refusing to let that kid transfer. Apparently, he had signed an NIL deal with Wisconsin, and then a week later, somebody was coming in and made him a better deal. And he wanted to get out of there. And the Big Ten is saying, at some point, you got to put your foot down. They really want to get a collective bargaining agreement sooner rather than later. It's told they'd like to get it before the next transfer portal, the spring transfer portal, to get a collective bargaining agreement in place. And so keep an eye on that whole situation where, everyone's like, well, this kid's just going to sue. Well, the Big Ten wants to be the front runner in making this collective bargaining agreement in the future of college football. Everybody's like, hey, you need guardrails, you need all this. They need a collective bargaining agreement. And the Big Ten wants to be the leaders when it comes down to this. We'll see if they're able to get it together, but it's one of those situations where you're wondering what's happening. Would it be a surprise to you if the Big Ten was the one to lead college football into the future?
I understand the argument that the coaches have and the athletic directors have, why they want to say, look, you had a national letter of intent. That's what it was for, so that a kid makes a commitment, the coach makes the commitment. You're not looking no more. I'm not looking no more. Okay, so this kid is given an offer by Wisconsin. Wisconsin and the kid agree. So Wisconsin stops looking for running backs, right? They probably told a couple guys, we're all done. We got our guy because he gave us his word. Right. So, and then now a week later, the kid wants to backtrack. No, Wisconsin already told guys, no, we've got our finances all in order. We got our salary. We know what we're allowed to spend, what we can spend. And you made a decision, and we let guys go. We're making decisions based on you giving us your word. So I totally understand the argument the coaches have. It's like, hey, man, you put the wedding ring on, or you shake hands and you make your commitment. I mean, really, Danny, it is what it is. It's like, that's why you have to sign. I imagine they signed a document at that time when the kid came in on his recruiting visit or whatever. So I totally understand the argument of Wisconsin, and I agree with them that, and the players need to understand it. They got to have their agents and say, look, when you sign this, it's over. We ain't looking no more.
Yeah, Michigan has, and there's a couple other schools. They have the Eltis that's working with them, and they go over these contracts. People want to know how are the contracts, how's the money distributed, if they don't play in a bowl game, or are they taking some of that? So there's all of these questions. A big part of these that they want to get the language in there is liability and these reverse things. If you go out and you if that kid goes out on a skateboard and twists his ankle or something, is not able to play, is he still getting the money? Are these basic contracts? It was only last year that the kid from UNLV, the quarterback, I don't know, whatever they said they were going to give him 100, 200,000, where, they're an undefeated 3 or 4 games in there. And he's like, yeah, I'm not getting my money. And they're like, yeah, that was just a verbal agreement. Yeah, like, the hell with you guys, So
yeah, those are 2 different deals. In one case, the school didn't honor their commitment. In the other case, the kid that does something stupid off the field, jumping out of windows or getting in fights or skateboarding, whatever. Yeah, that stuff all needs to be. It's a different world now, Danny. That stuff's got to be written down and documented. You don't want to make, these are pro contracts now. You're making an investment in a kid. You can't do dumb stuff off the field with the mouth, getting in fights where you can't play. It's just like, the NFL now. These guys get in fights and they get cut the next week, or they get caught drunk driving or something. So yeah, you're going to have all that behavior and all that kind of stuff is going to be in these contracts, I would think.
Yeah, well, it's great to be a free agent. These guys are free agents all the time, but like this guy's. You sign a contract and you're still a free agent. That's where you got to get collective bargaining agreement. The Tigers signed Gleyber Torres to a $15 million deal. It's not like, the Seattle Mariners are coming in and saying, oh, we're going to give him $20 million. It's like, we've already signed a deal. You can't do that. And that's what these players want to do. So they got to get these rules in place to move forward. We knew that it couldn't stay like this. It's great for players, but you got to have a contract and things have to be binding. And this also is going to help where, if some players are doing things like they find people in the NFL, when they're doing things like you're talking about. You can't really do that right now. They're just student athletes. They're getting money on the side. Do something where you can then find the players.
Yeah, I imagine that stuff is coming, Denny.
Yeah. Another thing. So I was listening to the radio. It's a national show, and so they had somebody in. But the guy was beside himself with Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami, who during the Pop-Tart Bowl, he opted out of the game at halftime. He reached some kind of number to break a record for the U, but then he opted out, said that's it. He was on the sideline, said he wasn't playing anymore. And this guy was freaking out. He was saying that if he was an NFL team, he would hold this against Cam Ward. He would not want his franchise to pick this guy to be their leader. He's surprised that more people aren't talking about it. And, Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver for the Giants, he got a record for LSU last year, and he opted out of their bowl game. He still went in the top 10. He had a great rookie season. He won me my fantasy league yesterday with 36 points. But wide receivers and quarterbacks are different. Scar, I don't know. You could also take this to the high school level where you see a kid who's got all the talent in the world, but, he might be talking. This is what Michigan, like, if the guy's first thing is like, how much money can I make? Well, what's the money all about? And you're like, well, okay, let's put the money over here. What about the Cam Ward situation?
Danny, here's my deal on this. First of all, I bet on Iowa State. Okay, I bet on Iowa State.
All
getting
right.
4.5.
All right.
There's no way this kid is playing. He's a top five quarterback. There's no way this kid's playing. When I turn that game on and I see that he's playing, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Okay. So anyway, so the game, Denny, I've been in these bowl games. These guys are playing, man, to win the game. Okay, there's a preparation and there's a toughness. Guys are hurt, banged up, beat up. Seniors are making their last game. People, there are emotions. People are fighting their butt off to win for their brother next to them. This is not a scrimmage, a inter squad scrimmage. This is a game that guys are giving everything they have to win. There are tears before the game, Denny, with the seniors. You follow me?
Yeah.
They are looking in each other's eyes. And they've been through the grind together. So you got to get the mindset of what's going on in that Miami locker room, at least in the damn Michigan locker room when I played. Guys are giving everything they have for each other to win their last game, to make sure the seniors go out winners was always the mindset in the games I was a part of. Okay, so understand that. Okay, so the kid is he got bad advice. He got terrible advice. So the kid plays in the game long enough to break some record. Okay, that's why he played in the game. That is a total me guy move. I want to play in this game to break this record, and then I'm going to just quit on my team after that. Okay, so if I'm his coach and we have this discussion, I would say, hey, Cam, listen. I would have just had you either got to play or you're out. I got no problems with the kid being out, opting out. Absolutely zero problems with it. He's a high pick. He can make lifelong money, support everybody in his family. I have zero problems with that. Okay. Here's the thing I have a problem with, Denny. This kid is going to want to market his name. Okay. He is going to want to sell tennis shoes and cornflakes. And people are going to decide, do we want Cam Ward to represent your product? Okay, are you buying whatever Cam Ward's selling 2 years from now? You got to ask yourself that. I think he damaged his NIL future as an NFL guy that's going to market his name. I don't think he got the right advice there. This stuff would have been thought through. So he damaged that. And I'm just looking at it as a former player. That's my teammate, and we're forever in my life. I'm going to think of you as a quitter, man. You're my teammate, but you quit on us, and we're all trying to fight to win the damn game. I got zero problems with you sitting out before the game even starts. So I just, I
can't imagine. The Cleveland Browns might have the number 1 pick. They'll be in the top 5. Or the Cleveland Browns have been going through everything saying, we're going to have Cam Ward come in. We really need somebody after the Deshaun Watson incident or situation. with this incident and everything else, but we need a leader. We need somebody the whole city can get behind. Let's take Cam Ward, who opted out of the Pop-Tart Bowl. I don't know. You say, we just want the talent. How many times in recruiting do you see guys say, look, we really, it was the high school coach, and we went and seen him play. And when we talked to the parents, this kid was a captain. They value a lot of things, and people are always like, we value the stars, which is, we get that as fans. But I'll never forget the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, Brett Veach. He picked Patrick Mahomes. He was the one that followed him around, and he wanted him. He told Andy Reid, this is the guy. And when he kept telling Reid, he's been on a million podcasts and talked about it. He said, when I would go to Texas Tech, the way that he interacted with his teammates, the way he had his teammates back, how he was out there, it was so big. And it reminded me last year of Harbaugh when he was saying, J.J. McCarthy is like Patrick Mahomes and like Josh Allen, the way they are with their teammates. He's like, that's the kind of guy that you want. And I don't know if Cam Ward.
Well, listen, he's a young kid, and I'm going to put it on the people that advised him. I would not have let him do that if I was his coach, because we would have said, listen, man, you just can't look your teammates in the eye forever if you quit on them like this, and it's going to hurt you from a marketing standpoint for the future too, because I think people are going to always look at him as that. There's some people that ain't never going to forget that, man. So that's just my take on it. He should have sat out the whole game is what he should have did.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I think, and if Neighbors did it last year, people, well, nobody's saying anything about Neighbors. I think the wide receiver and the quarterback position are different. They are.
Okay, you had a receiver that broke a record and then bagged it after that? I didn't know that.
Malik Neighbors, the number 6 pick in the NFL draft, and he was great this year. And he pieced out, and I don't know if Giants fans are like, we really want this guy coming in or not. If he didn't have a good year, people would say, yeah, this is just some selfish diva. They'd used it against him, but the kid's great right now. He's the only thing they got going for him. I don't think any Giant fans are dogging him, but it's a different, wide receiver profile from a quarterback. That kind of stuff's different. So. But I hear you.
I mean, he's a damn good football player, and coach. It's just something he didn't need. He didn't need this now hanging over his head. Because there's people in every city in America, they're going to bring that up. If you draft them,
every interview of the combine is going to be a story.
There's going to be people in the community that are going to question that decision, and he just doesn't need that, man. And it wasn't thought through.
Good point.
So.
All right, Scar. That's so.
Danny, let me just say this. I just wonder. Is Joe Lynn going to kind of dictate any decisions on who plays? That's just something I thought about, and that we didn't talk about it much with Underwood. Is she have power to influence? Just something to think about. And Denny, I wanted to mention this. Jay Norvell talked about this. The agents are getting 15% of the contracts these guys are signing, between 15 and 20%. That's terrible. They're getting that much money. He thought it was just terrible. And I talked to a friend of mine told me that that league, the Mountain West Conference, they kind of have a standard. If you're a starter at one of those schools, you're about $35,000. They all kind of they're trying to be consistent to kind of have a salary cap. If you're a starter in the Mountain West Conference, you're about $35,000. They want to stay. So even the Mountain West Conference is paying guys once you become a starter on top of your scholarship. I didn't think those schools would have that kind of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was something a friend of mine who his kid might be transferring out to Nevada indicated. They have a pecking order. If you're not a starter, you're just on scholarship. But once you become a starter, even at that level, which is something of note.
All right, I'll take a couple on the feedback, but it's a fascinating question you put about Jolyn, if she is going to have any input on the quarterback room, on who plays. The first thing you say is no way. That's great that you're giving money, but there's the donors and then there's the football coach, and the football team, and he's making, but when you're a star and you're getting the kind of money and you're a local prodigy, there's going to be a certain amount of whether you want to be the head coach and not listen to anything else. There's going to be a certain amount that you do get, whether you've, so I find that part fascinating where, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt on some things. And I think that is going to come down to playing time. That's a tough spot for a coach. And you could say the whole time, like, nope, we're treating Bryce Underwood like we're going to treat the, what's his name?
Jaden Davis.
Herb Street's kid. Yeah. We're going to treat these two the same. And I don't know if that's reality or not. I don't think.
Yeah, it's good. It's just, it's just something to think about because, because Sharon Moore doesn't want Joe Lynn to go away.
No,
nope. We want her hanging around, for the distance. We want her, contributing every year. So you don't want to feel like, okay, if we start to struggle with Keene and now he's going to play him early. I just wonder, because I remember again, I high school coaches deal with the same stuff.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
You get people that raise money for you, and then they want to try to dictate how money's being spent. It's like, no, man, it's my football program. You just contribute. You're not making any decisions. So that's just something that is out there.
Couple on the feedback. Ripstar says he's charging 35% for his. He's pretty pricey. Rico is asking if you really think Michigan wants to go into next season with this wide receiver room. He says that's shocking. You did point it out that they got the tall wide receiver, Akali from.
He's special, man. He's a special kid. And I mean, we got some highly recruited receivers, Danny, that could make an impact right away. So
that's right.
Hopefully, Rico, the talent, the height level is definitely improved. I agree with, that was kind of the you had to make it, Josh Gaddis and some of the old school thinking, or his way of thinking, was you get a fast guy in space and you throw him the ball, he's going to make guys miss. I've defended big, tall guys and then the little fast guy that you can't tackle. Okay, the ideal guy is the big guy who's also fast, but it doesn't always come like that. Okay, so you have to make a decision as a coach. What do you want to recruit? And I understand the strengths and weaknesses of both of those guys. The tall guy is always open. If you got a 5'9" corner and he's 6'3", he's always open. But the problem is when he catches it, you're going to tackle him right where he's not making guys miss. So I think Sharon Moore believes more in the tall receiver, give our quarterbacks a bigger target. I don't care if he's not as good in space. I think that's the direction of our program. And some of these young guys, hopefully they can play, Danny, on top of the big Indiana kid. And then again, they're high on what is it, Channing
Goodwin.
Yeah, they're high on him. And I mean, we're going to find out, man. But you still got to have quarterbacks that can throw in the ball, and you got to have scheme, and you got to have a run game. I mean, Danny, I watched Prime. Okay, I can't believe I bet the over in that game because I watched the first series of the game. I saw that Colorado had players out. They had the Hill Green kid out. He's transferred. They had guys out from their defense. I said, this is going to be a high-scoring game. So I bet the game. Colorado didn't have a good drive, but they didn't have a running back they had a couple running backs out of the game. BYU just crushed them because they had zero run game. Colorado had zero run game. They didn't have to honor their run. They were totally one-dimensional. I guess I don't know what I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. We still got to be able to do both, man. And hopefully we have guys that can big targets for our receivers because that's the way Sharon wants to go. He talked about big targets.
He did. I would also add that when you get into the spring, there's another whole cycle of transfer portal. And if Michigan goes through spring and they're putting these guys through the paces and they're getting a good look at them, and they say, hey, we really need an upgrade there, they're going to have a chance to go out, and who knows who they'll lose, but they'll have an opportunity that you get a last chance going through spring, whether it's before spring or after spring ball with the transfer portal. So there's still that. It's not like you can always the collective bargaining agreement. It is not here. You know what I found interesting? This is my last point. I was just listening to a college football pod, and I think in July is when they have the money that is going to be released. I think it's $20 million that the universities are going to have. Michigan hasn't decided how they're doling that out, but there's going to be money for football players. But there's teams that want to, before they get to that part, they're trying to splurge because they do know that collective bargaining is on the way. There's this $20 million that there's going to be restrictions. So this might be a last free-for-all when it comes to these next couple months, that it's going to get a little crazier before it actually settles down if people are ready for that.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, I am feeling pretty good about what we've done in the portal. I wanted to get the only thing I wanted to get the big D tackle from Kentucky. I still have a little bit of concerns about our inside defensive line, but I think our running back, we got a pretty good player from Alabama. We got a pretty good guard. Our offensive line is going to be good. Our tight end room is going to be solid. Our quarterback room is elevated. I think our linebacker room will be good. Our edge players will be as good as it's ever been. The point about the receivers, it will be interesting to see. But receiver, inside D line is probably what I have questions mark, because I saw the kid play from Alabama that we're getting. He didn't play a lot. He's, again, I said it last week.
You're talking about?
Yeah, I think if we get Hinton type play that Hinton gave us 3 years ago, but we're not getting Kenny Grant play from this kid. I don't think he has the feet like Kenny Grant. But hey, this is what if I'm Espo, I know as a coach, this is what you want, man. As a coach, you want that. Let's go. Espo's going to take that as a challenge. I'm going to make this kid a player. I'm going to make him an all Big Ten player. And I guarantee you that he's fired up for the challenge of saying, okay, this kid, maybe people think he's underperformed, 5-star kid. Well, guess what? So that's how coaches look at these kind of situations.
Yeah, and for as much talk as Underwood gets when he's going to be ready, remember, Michigan's got Marshall, get out of Chicago, and Boateng, that linebacker. These guys were thought of being like almost like Underwood as defensive linemen and linebackers, so maybe those guys will be into the mix.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe Marshall will be like a gift from the gods. I mean, Mason Graham played as a freshman.
Yeah,
and he was productive. So hopefully this kid, hey, he's got the size and he's athletic. Maybe he can be a guy that can play early. Who knows? And hopefully he will.
I love it, Scar. I can listen to you talk about football.
Any other questions on there?
People are talking about chicken wings, from what I see.
Let me say one more thing that I listened to the comments and the feedback. Danny, I got after Sharon Moore a little bit about the flag plant, because I thought that I didn't like it. But I was informed from one of our listeners that Oregon and Texas both did it at our field at Michigan Stadium.
That's true. Yep. Okay,
that's. If I'm these guys talk about, what's right for kids, this needs to be an NCAA thing that we're just not going to do it, man. We're just not going to do it. It's not teaching kids. So I kind of take back what I said about Sharon, because the guys did it to us, and it needs to be handled at the NCAA level. That this is just, it's no different, Denny. This is no different than, going through a handshake line and telling a guy you suck. And you suck, or after the football game, whatever. It's the same kind of thing, man. It's just low grade disrespect that we don't want to teach our kids. So I can't believe that both those guys did it, Oregon and Texas. Just terrible leadership, man.
I mean, it's not new. Michigan State and Notre Dame, 10, 15 years ago, were going back and forth. And then it was Baker Mayfield about 6 years ago that did it. And then everybody started watching it. I tell you this, that almost not all fans, but man, so many fans, they like it so much. Like the Ohio State game was great and everything, but man, the planting of the flag is it's people just loved it.
Okay, well, I did all that. What happens if the home team doesn't like it? Are we gonna start having a cage match after the game? Are we gonna have dudes that are gonna just say, okay, man, I don't like it, and sell tickets for a free-for-all at the 50-yard line? I mean, why should somebody accept it? I could see if I was a player, I might not like it. I might take a swing at dudes. I don't know. I don't like it.
I hear you on that. I know you can't take a swing because then you're talking about getting suspended. But I hear you either have to. You
need to just say it ain't going to happen no more, man. Go to the locker room.
You need to decide. I don't know about specifically plant flagging, but you either have to allow the other team to celebrate on your field or not. Because if it's not plant flag or planting the flag, then they can just go out and get in a circle around. They can
go sing the fight song to your fan. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick comment because I got after Sharon and I didn't realize that everybody else was doing it, and that's it. But Denny, let's the big thing is let's see is Milroe going to play? So that'll be the big thing. We got 4 first rounders not playing, and apparently their guy's going to play. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Maybe if Michigan gets to win, they'll plant another flag down there, and this one will stick in the field.
Then we got to, to win this game. I'll tell you right now, can we keep them to 17 points? Because that's what we're going to have to do.
Let's see it. All right, Scar.
So anyway, we'll see, Denny. It's all good. Go blue, man.
Happy New Year, Scar.
Happy New Year.
There he is.